What is a Section 8 abatement? So an abatement means that you had 2 Section 8 inspections and you failed both of them. So Section 8 says, hey, landlord, I'm not giving you any more money until you pass this inspection. So there's more to it than that, and we're going to get into 6 different things that I think would be very helpful for you to know if you own a property that has a Section 8 tenant in it. I'm Monique Burns. My husband and I started buying houses in 2007, and our very first tenant had Section 8. We built up our own portfolio, and right now what we do is we buy houses that are distressed and we renovate them and we find a tenant for them, and we sell the houses to cash buyers from all over the country and all over the world. If you are interested in buying one of our properties, get on my exclusive buyers list, or better yet, call me on Calendly. You can set up a time to talk to me and I can tell you what we have when we have another house for you. We only do like 1 or 2 a month, so there's a bit of a waiting list. Let's get into these 6 different things. So number 1, I wanted to clarify the difference between an initial inspection and the kind that you can get an abatement over. The initial inspection is when your house is empty and Section 8 comes out and they do an inspection to make sure that it's safe for a Section 8 tenant to live there. That's not what I'm talking about. But every year they come back and they do an annual inspection. And they give you a list and they say, here, these are the things that you need to fix in your house. And you get your handyman to go fix these things. And then you call Section 8 back and say, okay, they're all done. We're ready. They come out, they do an inspection. And if you don't do all the things on their list, you fail. And if you fail, then you have to try to get a 3rd inspection. Now, there's no guarantee you're going to get the 3rd inspection. This is my number 2 about the 3rd inspection. Some of the Section 8 offices are asking for $100 for that 3rd inspection. Others are giving them away. It's kind of a policy thing per housing commission. Wherever you are, you kind of don't really know. It could be in the initial paperwork what they do about the 3rd inspection, but some of them really just want to keep the tenant in the house because the tenant has lived there a long time. So they'll work with the landlord. So it's not a 100% solid thing what they do about that 3rd inspection. One thing that can come up, so number 3, something that can come up though is new issues. So let's say your inspector comes back for the 2nd inspection. They can't just they can't walk through the house and go, oh, I missed this, I missed that. But what they can do are serious health and safety hazards. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, it helps me so much if you like and subscribe. And if you find all this content interesting, I do have an online course and it's focused on Detroit and it teaches people how to manage houses themselves in Detroit. It gives you a really good education of what's going on here. Even if you don't want to manage it yourself, you could follow up better with your property manager, or you could do part of it. I do have someone new on my team that will do what I'm calling hybrid property management. He'll take parts of it, like do the tenant placement or do the repair calls, whatever. So let me know if that's of interest to you. Connect with me on Calendly. And I just talked to Chris Finn, and he's a good contact to have. I've got his contact information below, or here's his number here. He's a home inspector, but he also was a Section 8 inspector, and he does special Section 8 inspections for people's houses before they rent to a Section 8 tenant to make sure that they understand what Section 8 is looking for. I called him and I asked him, what are these things? Because I know that they're called a 24-hour notice fail, and we've had them before, and the only one I'm familiar with is missing smoke and carbon detectors, and we get 24 hours to run out there and figure it out. And I said to my husband, I'm like, I don't get it. Didn't we put those in when they moved in? Yes. They had to have been there before the tenant could ever move in anyway, but tenants take them down and then they suddenly disappear, and they don't like them because when the batteries are low, they chirp, or they start going off when they're cooking fried food or something. So that's one thing. So I asked Chris, what are the other things? He said broken glass or exposed wires. He said, like, the kids decided to play basketball in the living room and they broke the light fixture and there's exposed wires. That could be one. Or a broken electrical outlet. That could happen if that happened between inspections. Or even like a new sewer issue. So that's a bummer when that kind of stuff happens, but that's usually a 24-hour notice, and you are told and you only have so much time to hustle out there and get that fixed, or your house goes in abatement. So another thing to worry about is between the 2nd and 3rd inspection, Your tenant may be like, you're just a slumlord. I don't even want to live here. I can't believe you couldn't fix this stuff. Even if it was a legit mistake, like your handyman missed something for whatever reason, it was a follow-up problem you had, it wasn't intentional, mistakes happen. So your tenant, though, can call the housing commission and say, I'm done. I'm out of here. It's an abatement. Give me my move packet. I'm moving to a new house. So you don't want that, or what? Maybe you do want that to happen. So that was my number 5, that your tenant could move. But my number 6 is maybe you do want that to happen. Maybe you don't like this tenant and you don't want to go do any repairs because the tenant is just going to go destroy whatever you did anyway. You can let it go into abatement because then the tenant gets the move packet. But should you do that? I don't think so. It kind of depends on the situation. I think it's a bad idea because the tenant could just be like, I didn't find a new place yet. I'm in your house. I don't pay you rent. So I'm just not paying rent. I could save some money as long as I can stay here. And then you have to look at like, oh my gosh, now you have to evict them because you're not even getting paid by Section 8 anymore. Hot tip. If the house is about to go into abatement and you know you're getting rid of the tenant, or if you did the actual 30-day notice where you sign off 30 days, the tenant's moving, either one of those, always start the eviction process to protect yourself in case the tenant doesn't move. You'll have to ask your attorney where you live, which form to use. For me, it's always the 30-day notice, but don't do that stuff without consulting an attorney. Just wanted to give you that hot tip. So if we can ever go do the repairs, we prefer that method 100% more. Just go do the repairs, even if we have to be there for the inspector, because sometimes tenants want it to go into abatement so they can just move and they're purposely not there to let the inspector in. That can happen. So we'll be there and we'll go do whatever the repairs are to save ourselves from an abatement, because then even if you put in a 30-day notice and the tenant wants to move, Section 8 will say, okay, on this month, that's the end of your rent. But let's say the tenant didn't find anywhere, at least you have a chance to reach out to Section 8 and say, she hasn't moved, please leave her on. You get a better chance that way. And always just be in communication. Be in communication with your tenant. Be in communication with the Section 8 office. I sure hope all that made sense. Thank you so much for watching all of this.